Today we're going to tackle a question I bet a lot of us have asked ourselves. Is there actually a way for kids to master their math facts without all the stress and anxiety that comes from those timed drills? Well, let's dive into a method that says absolutely yes.
Just think back for a second. Can you remember that feeling? The clock ticking, that knot in your stomach, the pressure to just spit out an answer? For so many people, that's their core memory of math. But what if it doesn't have to be that way? What if we could build a totally different memory?
And right here, this is the fundamental difference. On one hand, you have the old-school rote drilling. It's often based on fear. It's all about speed. And honestly, the recall is usually temporary. But the Montessori approach? It flips the script entirely. It's based on joy. The focus is on deep understanding. And the goal is lasting fluency. It is a total paradigm shift.
So you might be asking, how in the world do they pull that off? Well, the secret, it's in the tools. The Montessori method is really built on this incredible idea that we learn with our hands, that our physical actions actually shape our thinking. So it uses all these unique hands-on materials that let kids physically play with math, guiding them from something they can touch to something they can understand abstractly.
Okay, so take the addition and subtraction strip boards. With these, a child isn't just staring at numbers on a worksheet. No, they're physically taking colored strips and building an equation. They can literally see and feel what 5 plus 3 looks like. It turns this abstract idea into something real and tangible.
And this same idea just keeps rolling with the multiplication board. Instead of just trying to memorize that 4 times 5 is 20, a child gets to physically place 4 little beads 5 different times, right there on the board. They discover the answer by creating this beautiful pattern. It's not a command, it's a discovery.
And you guessed it, the same thing happens with the division board. The concept of division, which can be so confusing, suddenly becomes this simple, clear act of sharing. A child physically hands out a bunch of beads to a set of little Skittles, and they watch 12 divided by 4 actually happen right in front of them.
Oh, and then you have the bead chains, which are just gorgeous. What looks like a simple string of beads is actually a powerhouse learning tool. Kids skip count along these chains, counting by 2s, by 3s, by 4s, and they start to internalize the rhythm of multiplication. They can literally feel the concepts of squares and cubes taking shape in their hands. It's amazing.
So, after all this amazing hands-on work, the child is finally ready for the next step, and that's where the memorization charts come in. They are the perfect bridge. See, the kids already know the why behind the math facts because they've felt it and seen it with the beads and the boards. Now these charts just help them organize all that knowledge and start that final journey toward recalling it from memory alone.
Now, here's the really cool part. This isn't just a random collection of activities. It's a super carefully structured 4-step journey. It's a path that takes a child all the way from needing those physical materials to being able to confidently just know the answers.
Let's just walk through it real quick. It all kicks off with step 1, the concrete work, using all those amazing hands-on tools. Then that naturally leads to step 2, repetition. But this is joyful repetition, more like play than a chore. From there, it flows right into step 3, games and speed work, where the challenges are fun, not filled with anxiety. And all of it, leads to the final destination, step 4, abstraction. That's the moment they can just recall the fact, no tools needed. It's such a natural, beautiful progression.
I know, all of this sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like for a child? Let me share a quick little story that just perfectly captures how this whole journey works. It's about that magic moment when the work in their hands becomes knowledge in their brain. So just picture a little girl working with the multiplication board. She's trying to figure out 6 times 7. So she very carefully places a row of 6 beads, and she does that 7 times over. She counts them all up, she finds the answer. She is physically building her understanding from the ground up.
And then, sometime later, maybe it's the next day, maybe it's a week later, she's playing a fun little math game with her friends. The question comes up, hey, what's 6 times 7? And without even pausing, without reaching for any beads or any board, she just knows. She just lights up and shouts, it's 42. That's it. The transition is complete. It moved from her hands straight to her head.
And that right there brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The real goal here isn't just speed. It's a deep, conceptual understanding that builds genuine, unshakable confidence. Speed? That just becomes a natural, effortless side effect of feeling so sure of yourself. It's not something you have to force with a stopwatch.
This whole approach really gives us some powerful wisdom that we can all use, right?
You always start with the real, the tangible, the concrete. Don't rush to the abstract stuff. Make practice something joyful, something playful, and you have to celebrate every little win, every tiny victory. But maybe most important of all, you respect each person's individual pace. This isn't just a classroom method, it's a guide for anyone helping someone learn anything.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if we just shifted our whole focus? Not just in math, but in all learning. What if we decided that building deep, real confidence was the true goal, and that speed was just a happy bonus? What do you think might change?